Welcome to Learning Life Skills Together. This is our weekly community Zoom meeting where our guests help us to go deeper into the 4 life skills and open up a huge array of chances to practice them. Hello, everyone. This is Learning Life Skills Together weekly Zoom meeting number 65. And this one is the 4th in our series in which we're looking at each of the 4 life skills and then using words of wisdom from the great poets who aren't under copyright, by the way, in order to really explore the emotional depth of each of these skills and what they can do for us. And so number 4, the 4th skill is the skill of connection. And so we can look at that skill as the skill of communicating effectively with our kids and with those around us. So that's one part of it, is the talking part of communication. And there's another part of communication that just happens when we're there and our kids are there. So how we are, the way we are, the way they see us is really, really important in how everybody feels. So, sometimes you get a glimpse of someone who's important to you and you see their face and you think, what's going on there? What are they feeling? What's happening with them? This is how we work as human beings, as biological beings. Our brains try on the expression of the other person, and we start to feel a little bit how they are. And so when somebody completely openly smiles at us, an authentic smile, we feel that. We feel loved, cherished, part of a really good moment for them and therefore for us. I think that's what we want for our kids. That's what we want with our kids. And so each of the skills that we've been working with helps us to get there. It's really building us up to this place of authentic connection, to really be there with and for our kids. And so, as I say, there's science behind it. This is something that our brain knows, our brain does without us thinking about it. When we have noticed what's happening around us, paid attention, that's skill 1, we know what's going on and we're able to work with it. And that working with it, emotion regulation, that's the second skill, is to be able to get hold of ourselves and really continue to show up in the moment that we're in. And the next one, of course, is to be able to tolerate distress. So we may not know what's going on or what's going to happen next, but we can still be present to our kids in that authentic way that helps them, I want to say, makes them feel loved and cared for. And I think that that's a lot of what parenting is about anyway. So there's this poem. It's called The Smile. It's by William Blake, one of the great English poets from a couple centuries ago, at any rate. And yet it feels really, really new and really, really true, I think. So I'm going to just read this through once and then we'll see what it has to say to us about this idea of connection. So the smile. There is a smile of love, and there is a smile of deceit, and there is a smile of smiles in which these two smiles meet. And there is a frown of hate, and there is a frown of disdain, and there is a frown of frowns, which you strive to forget in vain. For it sticks in the heart's deep core, and it sticks in the deep backbone. And no smile that ever was smiled, but only one smile alone, that between the cradle and grave it only once smiled can be. But when it once is smiled, there's an end to all misery. And so I think maybe there are some things in here that might have touched you already. I know there are parts of this that I just relate to from my own rather spotty emotional growing up as a child. And so there is a smile of love, and there is that, and we all recognize it. And there's a smile of deceit. There's a smile that's not true. And you know what? We all recognize that one too, because our brain is trying it on and making us feel what that's like. We know when someone's not being true with us. Smile of love, that's real. That hits us. A smile of deceit, it's not real, but it hits us in a different way, right? It moves us away from that person. It steps us back. And there is a smile of smiles in which these two smiles meet. So that smile of smiles erases the smile of deceit, brings the smile of love forward. It's the real smile, I want to say. And so, how do we get there? We get there with our life skills. We get there because we want to and we need to for our kids. And there's a frown of hate, says William Blake. And there's a frown of disdain. And there's a frown of frowns. So the really big, great, deep frown, which you strive to forget in vain. And maybe you remember that, and maybe you have a very fresh experience of it yourself. That sometimes somebody can look at you and you feel it deep down. As Blake says, it sticks in the heart's deep core. Oh no, I have failed that person, or that person intends to fail me. What's going on with it? It sticks in the deep backbone. And there's no way out of that. Those are those moments that we wish we didn't have those expressions we wish we didn't meet. And those are the times, to be honest, that we wish we hadn't looked at our child that way. We wish we hadn't been quite so frowny, right? So a frown of frowns which you strive to forget in vain. It's there. No smile that ever was smiled can erase that, thinks Blake. But then he goes further. He says, but only one smile alone, between the cradle and the grave. It only once is smiled, can only be smiled once. This greatly authentic smile that not only shows love, but makes love, because when we're totally honest, when our expression is one like that, those around us feel it, they know it, because that's how the brain works. It picks it up, it helps us to feel it. When that smile is smiled, there's an end to all misery. And so we can overcome that frown of frown that we sometimes do by really being present with our kids. And that's what this whole program, that's what all of learning life skills together is aimed at, is for us to be able to do that, to use our skills of knowing what's happening with us and around us, and knowing how it feels inside, and then being able to work with that. So, attention, and then our own regulation of our emotion, our own getting hold of ourselves. The next piece is, man, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it feels like we just can't get over it. And so we need to do the things that can help us get through that moment. Maybe without so many frowns, right? Maybe without so much oh, disdain, difficulty, exposing our surroundings of the folks that are with us to all that. How can we do that? We have the skills. It's our module 4 skills. And so we can work with those. And so here we're working with the skills of connection, the module 5 skills. And those are all, that's all about pulling the other ones together, bringing ourselves to a place where we can be authentic in communicating how we really feel, what's really going on with us. And underlying that is the love that underlies everything we do with our kids. I have to I have to believe that one. I have to believe it. So there's a smile of smiles. And we can work, we can build that up. And you know what? We get those smile of smiles from our kids for us that make us feel good. Those happen too. And the more we work with these skills, the more we share the skills with our kids, the more likely it is that the smile of smiles is going to go both ways, that we're going to brighten each other's lives over and over again. I honestly also believe that we need that. So let me read this poem one more time and see what you think. Maybe it moves you to go back and look at some of the other skills. Maybe you're on module 3 and you really want to look more deeply into that. We're bringing out more and more pieces of that every week. So check it out. The Smile by William Blake. There is a smile of love, and there is a smile of deceit, and there is a smile of smiles in which these two smiles meet. and there is a frown of hate, and there is a frown of disdain, and there is a frown of frowns which you strive to forget in vain. For it sticks in the heart's deep core, and it sticks in the deep backbone. And no smile that ever was smiled, but only one smile alone, that between the cradle and grave it only once smiled can be. But when it once is smiled, there's an end to all misery. And so I leave you with the sense of the value of authentic connection, whether it's a smile or a wink or whatever it is that conveys what's going on with you and offers the other something of the love that's behind it.